There's something about the sound of gravel crunching under slow-rolling tires that stirs memories, memories of long patrol nights, the scent of black coffee in a travel mug, and the weight of a badge pressing against your chest. So when I heard it that afternoon, even years into retirement, I knew. The moment those two patrol cars rolled up my driveway, my instincts kicked in, and I knew exactly who had called them. There stood my 16-year-old daughter, Emma, frozen like a deer in headlights, her basketball still bouncing slowly across the pavement. Behind her, barely concealing her smirk behind our perfectly manicured hedge, was Karen Whitfield, arms crossed and chin raised like she'd just won the lottery. But that smirk disappeared faster than ice cream on hot asphalt when Officer Martinez stepped out, recognized Emma, and waved. He grabbed his radio, and I heard those beautiful words crackle through the afternoon air, "False alarm. This is Captain Rodriguez's daughter." I had chosen Willowbrook Estate specifically for its promise of peace and privacy after 23 years on the force. After losing my wife, all I wanted was a quiet place to raise my daughter. The gated community, with its tree-lined streets and tidy homes, seemed ideal. For 3 years, we lived quietly in our corner house on Maple Court, following every HOA rule by the book. Then Karen Whitfield was elected HOA president, and everything changed. It began with something laughably minor. Emma, tired after a long day at school, had parked slightly crooked in our own driveway. Within 10 minutes, I heard the click of a camera. Karen stood out front, photographing the car like she was building a case file. The next morning, a formal violation notice was taped to our door, complete with a picture and a citation for improper vehicle alignment. From that moment, we became Karen's personal mission. She filed complaints about Emma's music, even at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. She reported suspicious activity when 2 classmates came over to study for their AP chemistry exam. She even tried to cite us for leaf accumulation when autumn arrived and our oak tree shed its leaves, as it had every year since long before any HOA existed. It might have been comical if it weren't so relentless. But Karen clutched her HOA rule book like it was the law of the land. When Emma started her junior year, the harassment intensified. Karen would time her morning walks to match our schedule, positioning herself near our driveway just as Emma was leaving. One morning, Emma greeted her with a polite, "Good morning," only to receive a scolding about respecting one's elders and addressing the HOA president properly. Everything came to a head one Tuesday afternoon in October. I was pulling a double shift to cover for Lieutenant Chen, who had just welcomed his first child. Emma had finished school early and was out in the driveway shooting hoops. Her portable speaker played some light pop music, not loud, not offensive, just a teenage girl enjoying the rare Southern California drizzle. Karen, however, saw an opportunity. The 911 call came in at 4:17 p.m. I didn't hear about it until later, when I listened to the recording. Karen's voice was syrupy with concern as she claimed there was a juvenile disturbance, possibly involving drugs, at our address. She mentioned suspicious behavior, and said she feared for the safety of neighborhood children. Protocol dictated a response. 2 units arrived. What Karen hadn't anticipated was that every officer in our precinct knew Emma. She had grown up in our station. Coloring in the break room, passing out cookies during the holidays, volunteering at community events. Officers Martinez and Thompson recognized her immediately. And they recognized Karen, too. Karen had made 6 other false reports in just the past month, each more absurd than the last: suspicious packages that were Amazon deliveries, strange vehicles that turned out to be neighbors visiting relatives. Martinez radioed in the false alarm. Thompson took Emma's statement. My daughter, bless her, remained calm and respectful despite the sting of having officers show up while she was just shooting hoops. Karen, on the other hand, emerged from her front door, gesturing like a deranged traffic director, insisting that Emma's backpack be searched and that she be tested for drugs. Thompson, ever professional, told her firmly to return to her property. I got the call from my desk sergeant 5 minutes later. Captain, we've got a situation at your residence. My heart stopped for a moment until he assured me Emma was fine, but we had to talk about the Whitfield. I handed off duties to Deputy Chief Rawlings and drove home in uniform, my thoughts alternating between a father's fury and a captain's responsibility. The body cam footage told the whole story: Emma dribbling a basketball, singing along to the music, Karen behind her hedge, phone out, zooming in like she was staking out a fugitive. The footage captured her directing the officers to look behind our garden gnome, claiming Emma had stashed something there. This wasn't neighborly concern, it was targeted harassment, and it had crossed a line. I filed a formal complaint that night, but I didn't stop there. I used my administrative privileges to reroute patrol coverage. From that point on, every unit assigned to our sector reported directly to me. Every 911 call from Maple Court was flagged for my review. Karen wanted to involve the police. She'd get my full attention. 3 days later, the HOA called an emergency meeting. They assumed it was just a neighborly squabble in need of mediation. Karen showed up early, coiffed and confident, her designer briefcase stuffed with emails and photographs. She came ready to prosecute Emma and me in the court of public opinion. What she found instead was the full HOA board, 2 uniformed officers, a representative from the district attorney's office, and me, sitting at the head of the table with a file thick with official documentation. Richard Hoffman, the new HOA president, looked uncomfortable but resolute. "We have some serious concerns, Mrs. Whitfield," he said. I laid it out: 16 false 911 calls in 3 months, harassment of a minor, misuse of emergency services. The ADA representative explained the consequences. False reporting was a misdemeanor, carrying up to $1,000 in fines per incident, plus potential jail time. The color drained from Karen's face. She tried to pivot into victimhood, calling herself a concerned citizen, a protector of neighborhood standards. But when Officer Martinez played the body cam footage, Karen instructing officers to search my property while Emma stood there in her basketball uniform, her defense fell apart. Other board members chimed in, citing their own experiences of Karen's overreach and intimidation. The board's vote was unanimous. Karen was stripped of all HOA authority and barred from submitting any further complaints without corroboration from at least 2 other homeowners. Then came the legal consequences. The DA's office issued $16,000 in citations for false reporting and ordered Karen to complete a Citizens Police Academy program. Karen sputtered in disbelief. $16,000. That's outrageous, she cried, clearly grasping the magnitude of her mistake. And then it got worse. Richard Hoffman cleared his throat and added, "We've also reviewed your HOA expense reports. We found discrepancies. About $12,000 in unaccounted funds from your emergency security budget." Karen's face turned crimson. She jumped to her feet, denying everything. "You can't prove anything. I have receipts, cameras, patrols, background checks." That last one made my blood run cold. "Mrs. Whitfield," I said calmly, "those background checks you ran, you conducted unauthorized searches on law enforcement personnel and their families. That's a federal offense." The room went silent. Karen opened her mouth, then closed it. Her briefcase slipped from her hand, photos spilling onto the floor, photos of Emma, taken with a telephoto lens, notes on the back with dates and times, even one shot through our kitchen window. Officer Martinez quietly handed the evidence to the ADA representative. She nodded. "Mrs. Whitfield, you are under arrest for stalking a minor and criminal harassment." The Miranda rights were read. Karen collapsed into her chair. "Total fines and restitution, $28,000, said the ADA, plus possible federal charges and registration as a child offender. Your employer will be notified." Karen's last defense crumbled as she whispered, "But I was just trying to keep the neighborhood safe." But no one was listening anymore. And I, a father who'd once traded his badge for a quieter life, sat silently as justice was served, not out of revenge, but out of the deep, quiet conviction that peace isn't just found behind gates and trimmed hedges. It's found in standing up, once again, for what's right. If you've ever faced a nosy neighbor or just love seeing justice done right, give this video a like. It helps more folks find stories like this. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life drama where the good guys still win.